Hi everybody. I wanted to speak with you guys about a couple of things that I've been looking at lately in myself and my own life and with the people around me, and it's to do with love. It's also got to do with sleaziness and neediness. So where to start? First of all, the question I want to pose is about love and how is it okay to ask for love? You know, we often talk about, that we need love and it's okay to ask for love, like to ask someone, to give me love. But is it really okay in the experience of it? Have you ever been asked for love? Like, has anyone ever come up to you and said, can I please have some love? Or can I please have some nurturance, in whichever form it is? And if you have been asked, how's it made you feel? I'd love to hear everybody's responses. I know for me that if I'm asked for love, sometimes it doesn't feel good. It feels weird. It feels like I'm being forced to give something that I may or may not have to give at the time. Of course, if somebody's asking it, it's not a force, but it's just the energy that it kind of puts me in anyway, is a feeling of being asked for something I don't have to give. It also kind of poses the question for me anyhow around, we often think that can we really receive love from other people if we don't first love ourselves? That's a thing that's always kind of hasn't always sat well with me, because sometimes I've seen that we learn how to love ourselves through other people loving us. And I think what this has got to do with mostly is vibrational frequency. We now know through different electromagnetic testing that different states have a different electromagnetic field, and electromagnetic fields affect other electromagnetic fields. So for instance, if somebody is in a state of anger, they walk into the room, you feel it, right? And it can affect you, and we can kind of get into that shitty mood ourselves. And it's exactly the same with love. And this is true, this is science, this is something that we know. And so, if someone needs or wants love, but they're not loving themselves, are they able to receive love from you? Well, I think yes. Personally, I think yes, we can, so long as we're open to it. So if my frequency is in a frequency of self-doubt or what have you, if I really want to shift up to the frequency of love, if I'm around someone who's in a loving state, then yes, that's going to work. But if that person, if I want to get love from that person and ask them for love, they have to be in a loving vibration or a loving frequency first themselves. So if we're asked for love and we're not already in that state, how does that feel for you? I'd really like to know how that feels for you. For me, it doesn't feel great. I guess if I have the ability and the time and the impetus to stop and raise my vibration into a loving vibration, then that's a wonderful opportunity, I guess, that they've given me to be able to do that. And I could do that. I guess what I'd like to look at is how can we be responsible in ourselves for asking for love, and could we, instead of asking somebody else for love, how can we take responsibility for that ourselves first and raise our own vibration to that of a loving vibration? And then if we're unable to, what have you, then perhaps ask for some help from other people or outside sources. But I just like to see us being more conscious around our own state of love or not love and how we request it from other people. This thought process started for me actually with my son, who's only 2.5, and I noticed, this is maybe at least 6 months ago, that asking him, can I have a kiss or can I have a hug, and he'd almost always say no. And I don't know how, but it kind of dawned on me that he's this little guy and I'm asking him to give me a kiss. And I thought, how does that feel to me if someone says, can I have a hug, can I have a kiss? And actually it feels shit. I don't like being asked to give somebody my affection. My affection is a follow-on expression or an overflow of my own internal state. You know, when I'm feeling so full of love or so full of desire or passion or compassion, then I want to express that physically. And so asking my son to give it to me, any wonder, you know, he wasn't into it. And so I did an experiment, and every time that I was, you know, wanted to have affection with him, I would say to him, hey, can I give you a cuddle or can I give you a kiss? And he always would say yes, always. And so, and I got other people to do it as well. And so it makes sense, you know. He doesn't want to be asked, give me a cuddle, give me a kiss. And I think it's the same for us as we're adults. I don't think we like being said, can I have a hug? Can I have a kiss? And well, I certainly don't. Like, you know, it's okay, especially if you're already in a vibration of love, and if you're around people that you love, then you're into it. But if you're just in your daily life and you're doing your thing, I think it can be a bit jolty, a bit uncomfortable. And so what to do? Well, my experiment at the moment is that if and when I'm asked for that from somebody, if I'm not already in that vibration of love, is to stop and see if I can raise my vibration to love, simply because I want to actually be in that vibration of love more and more. But I think it'd be wonderful for us all to be a lot more conscious and self-responsible for what we ask of other people, especially in our relationships. And that this brings me to the topic of neediness and sleaziness. I think they're kind of the same thing. I'd love to hear what you think about this too. But, you know, often when we come across a sleazy person, it just feels gross. And even if they're not overtly asking for something or trying something on, why does it feel sleazy? Why does it feel yucky, you know? And then there can be other people who are overtly trying it on and it feels fine. Yes, maybe the difference might be that we're attracted to one and not attracted to the other, but I think there's more than that. You know, I've seen some very attractive people who just give off this vibe of sleaziness, and it's gross, and they're not even being overt. And, you know, vice versa, kind of the other way. And so, you know, I started to see how sleaziness, and I'd love for you all to look at this too when you come across somebody who you might deem as sleazy. I think sleaziness is just another form of neediness, you know, and it can be come across, this person may be trying to get their needs met sexually or even just through affection, but underneath them wanting or asking or trying to get is a neediness, and it just feels so awful. So I'd love for us all to be aware of that. You know, if we're trying to get something from someone, if we're trying to be all, you know, amorous or trying it on with somebody, is it coming from a place of neediness or is it coming from a place of desire? Because desire is juicy and delicious and yummy, and we all kind of like that. But that sleazy vibe, just I'd love for you all to look into that in yourselves or with other people who you know who are sleazy, or if ever you've been told that you're a bit sleazy, I'd love you to look into that, and I'd love to hear what you have to say about it too. You know, underneath it, is there a bit of sleaziness? And I know people who are like this, and who, you know, I know this one guy in particular who's like the nicest guy that you'll ever meet. He's so gorgeous, he's so helpful, he's so kind, he's gorgeous looking, he's wonderful, but his whole life he's had an issue with girls not being into him, and it's weird, right? He's wonderful in every way, but he's got this kind of weird sleazy vibe about him, even though he's not overt about it. And he, you know, we've worked together, and he dug right deep down into it, and underneath it all, really, he's needy. When he's approaching someone, it's because he doesn't feel good enough in himself, and he needs to be given external validation from women, and that he's okay, and that he can be loved, and that he's attractive, and it almost always is coming from that place. And after working a little bit and finding a bit more self-acceptance and self-love, he's been able to come to a place where he feels okay about himself and okay about his needs, because he has real needs, true needs, you know, or desires. And when he approaches women now he's in a relationship, and when he approaches his partner in that way that comes from, you know, a desire, he has a much different experience. And I've seen this with lots of people. So anyway, I'd love to hear other people's experience of that as well. And how that relates to neediness. You know, you might not be sleazy, but you might be needy. And I think that, you know, we all understand what neediness is, and I guess I just spoke about that now. But my what I want to share with you is just the discovery around sleaziness, and how sleaziness is kind of like a form of neediness. It's a mask for neediness, if you like, and usually, well, always a very unconscious one. So yeah, they're kind of my musings for today. Hopefully you have gotten something out of that. And as I said, I'd love to get feedback about these things and your experiences, and your experience about it. You know, how do you experience when somebody's asking you for love, and what's your experience when you're asking for love, and what's your experience of sleaziness and neediness in yourself, and of course with other people. It's always easy to point the finger, but I'd love to hear from people who have this experience themselves. You know, we're all human, and we all have our areas where we might not like about ourselves very much, but we're all trying to be the best version of ourselves, and sharing these things with other people is just such a valuable experience for everybody. There's always somebody else that can learn from our experiences. And yeah, so I'd love to hear from people too who, you know, who get asked, can you give me some love? Can you give me a hug? Or can you give me a kiss? And you just feel like, oh, I don't like it, you know? And yeah, why don't you like it? Can you resonate with that idea that, you know, if you're not in a vibration of love, how can you be expected to give that to somebody? And are you willing to raise your vibration to love when you're asked? Anyway, my musings for today. I'm about to go and meditate. Love you all.